Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Victoria police have arrested 4 suspects accused of vehicle burglary.
The latest on the fatal shooting in New Mexico that killed 3 people. Authorities say the shooter was 18 years old.
And a 12-year-old and a 20-year-old near Fort Worth face murder charges after the death of a Sonic employee.
We had another afternoon of thunder showers. We got a live picture here. You can see how there's a little raindrop here and there. This is Cuero. I didn't get significant totals. That's good, although we did have some flooding around the area. But the best news, storms will be ending by tomorrow. I'll have all that coming up in a moment.
A woman in Dallas was killed by a stray bullet while picking up a prom dress for one of her daughters. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Around 1:25 a.m. today, Victoria police officers were at a home in the 500 block of Waterford to investigate a vehicle burglary. A white Dodge Durango took off. A short time later, that vehicle was found in the 200 block of Eagle Creek. Police tried to pull it over and say 3 people ran off and 2 stayed in the vehicle. Police say they found a stolen handgun and a purse inside the vehicle. Authorities searched the area and detained a juvenile. 3 adults were arrested. Here's one of those suspects, 18-year-old Eric Mundine. He faces 3 charges of burglary of a vehicle, theft of a firearm, and engaging in organized criminal activity.
The other suspect, 17-year-old Mario Salinas, he also faces 3 charges. He's charged with burglary of a vehicle, theft of a firearm, and engaging in organized criminal activity. 19-year-old Nathaniel Escobedo faces 7 charges. He's charged with burglary of a vehicle, theft of a firearm, evading arrest or detention, and engaging in organized criminal activity. Nathaniel is also charged with not having a driver's license, failing to appear, and driving with no seatbelt, all of which are warrants.
And we do have all those mugshots at our website, crossroadstoday.com. Now, the last suspect detained, a 16-year-old juvenile who faces 4 charges. He's charged with burglary of a vehicle, theft of a firearm, evading arrest or detention, and engaging in organized criminal activity.
Several arrests and seizures of illegal drugs and money happened last week with the Operation Lone Star Task Force in Refugio County. 9 felony charges were filed, 4 arrest warrants were seized, along with 6 seizures of illegal drugs and over $112,000 of money seized. 5 area county sheriff officers, along with Homeland Security investigators, took part in the arrests and seizures.
The Victoria Central Appraisal District is meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. On the agenda is the discussion and possible action of the letter of resignation from Chairman Luz Vetlick. The board meets at 2805 North Navarro in Suite 300.
And this brings us to your viewer poll. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, do you plan to attend the Victoria Central Appraisal District meeting? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote and we will have an update on 25 News Now at 6.
Okay, I see an umbrella on the floor drying. I saw people wet. So Mac, finally we're seeing some rain today.
Yes, it came in right in the afternoon hours, just as expected. It popped up with all the heating that we had and the humidity, so we did have a good bloom of thunderstorms. For a while, we had significant rainfall down in Calhoun County. Since that, all the warnings have been lowered, and most of the rain's coming in. But this is all driven by heating, and as a result, when the sun goes down, a lot of this is going to continue to decrease in an hour or 2. Then everything sort of goes away. We're looking at much drier weather beginning tomorrow, and then sunny and warm for the rest of the week. So we'll have all those details coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. James, Karina.
Mac, thank you. A woman in Dallas was killed in the crossfire of a shooting while she and one of her daughters were on their way to get a prom dress.
On a day this family should have been celebrating Dallas mother Anna Moreno for Mother's Day, her family is instead coping with her loss.
It's really hard, something you're not prepared for. It's really hard.
Anna Moreno, a 39-year-old mother of 3, was driving her daughter Amy Rodriguez to pick up her prom dress when their car was caught in the crossfire of a shootout between 2 vehicles.
All we heard was gunshots, and she was about to stop, but I told her to step on it, and all I remember was she fell on my shoulder.
Dallas police say they got a call around 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon about a shooting on North Masters Drive in the Pleasant Grove neighborhood of Dallas. Police say 2 vehicles were shooting at each other while driving down Brutton Road. 4 people were shot. 3 men are in critical condition. A stray bullet pierced Anna's car, killing her.
She fell on my shoulder, and when we crashed, we lost control.
Wearing her favorite color and with tears in their eyes, dozens of Anna's family and friends gathered at the place where she was killed yesterday and released dozens of red and gold balloons in her honor. Her children now forced to face this Mother's Day without her.
Destroyed it completely. It was on my prom day. It was yesterday.
Family and friends are not the only ones devastated by her loss.
She was the very first person that welcomed us in the neighborhood. She was very friendly, hollering across the fence.
Neighbors say it's hard to feel safe anywhere.
It's just sad the way the people have got in the world today, and I don't really want to go nowhere.
Tonight, another family torn apart by gun violence.
I had to push through. It's what she wouldn't have wanted.
Olivia Leach, CBS News, Texas.
Police say a 12-year-old shot and killed an employee at a fast food drive-in in Keene. That's about 30 miles south of Fort Worth. The employee, Matt Davis, was killed while on the job Saturday night. The Keene police chief says Davis confronted customer Angel Gomez for urinating in the parking lot. The confrontation got physical. Police say a 12-year-old in Gomez's car pulled out a assault rifle and fired 6 rounds, fatally shooting Davis. Gomez and the 12-year-old took off but were later arrested. They face murder charges. More details about the deadly mass shooting in Farmington, New Mexico. 3 people were killed and several other people were hurt, including 2 officers.
Police identified the suspect killed in the fatal shooting as 18-year-old Bo Wilson.
This video showing the suspect in the deadly mass shooting in Farmington, New Mexico, roaming the crime scene.
There's a person laying in the middle of the street. He's just walking in circles with the Glock with an extended clip.
4 officers arriving to a chaotic scene spanning roughly a quarter mile Monday morning in this neighborhood near the 4 corners where New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado meet. Investigators say the 18-year-old suspect used 3 different weapons, including an AR-style rifle during the attack.
Be advised, I got several people down.
Neighbor Jeff Clark heard the gunshots from his garage.
I was looking around and noticed that a minivan with 2 elderly people with their windshield blowing out, shot out, were dead in their seats.
The gunfire also wounding several others, including a state trooper, before officers confront and kill the suspect, according to investigators. At least 6 homes and 3 vehicles were reportedly hit by gunfire.
So this is the room, went through right there.
Jolene and her family took cover.
It was traumatic to be barricaded in your laundry room with your daughter, who's 1.
Police still searching for the killer's motive. The community in mourning. The 2 officers' injuries appear to be non-life-threatening. Both officers have been released from the hospital. Now, this attack marks the 225th mass shooting in America this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. Tim Pulliam, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There's an update on the IRS whistleblower who claims to have information about the mishandling and political interference in the Hunter Biden probe. Attorneys for the whistleblower said their client was removed from the investigation and their investigative team. This as the request of the DOJ. Federal prosecutors are investigating President Biden's son, Hunter. They're considering charging him with reported tax crimes and making a false statement. Hunter Biden has denied any wrongdoing. The former CEO of collapsed Silicon Valley Bank says he's truly sorry for the bank's failure and the crisis it triggered. He testified before the Senate Banking Committee this morning. He said the collapse was a shock to him and added he worked closely with advisors and the bank was actively responding to concerns from regulators. The Senate committee's chairman blamed the financial institution for ignoring warnings from government leaders.
Running a bank, as you know or should know, running a bank isn't like running any other company. If you manage a car parts business or a steel company and run it, as I spoke to some steel executives today, you run it into the ground, you and the employees lose your jobs. The surrounding community may get hurt, but there usually aren't broader consequences for the savings accounts of families all around the country. With your jobs, other people's money is at stake. That's why we recognize that banking is different and why in return banks are subject to stricter rules, or they're supposed to be.
Becker appeared alongside two Signature Bank executives, all in their first public appearance since the fall of their firms. Tariffs on solar panels from Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam will remain suspended. President Biden vetoed a resolution today which would have lifted a temporary Commerce Department rule. He said he wants to reimpose the tariff starting in June of next year, but until then, he wants to give American manufacturers time to ramp up production. The panels in question rely on Chinese parts. 9 Democratic senators sided with Republicans in voting to reimpose tariffs on them. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The San Francisco DA will not pursue charges against a security guard who shot and killed a man at a Walgreens.
Also ahead, doorbell camera shows the suspect who attacked staffers at a congressman's office in Virginia. The San Francisco District Attorney's Office won't press any charges against the security guard who shot and killed Banco Brown. Disturbing video of the altercation was released. Brown is attempting to leave a Walgreens and a security guard, Michael Anthony, stopped him. This leads to a physical altercation. When Anthony releases him, Brown leaves but turns around and moves towards the guard. Anthony was unsure what he would do next, so he fired his gun. Brown's family is moving forward with a civil lawsuit. The suspect who attacked staffers at a congressman's Virginia office Monday may be connected to a second baseball bat assault. In a video captured from a doorbell camera, a woman is seen running and screaming as a man, believed to be the 49-year-old suspect, chased her with a bat. He asked if she was white, then bashed her car windshield with the bat. Federal investigators arrived at the home he shared with his parents and left with a box containing a computer and some documents.
He was going around to all the neighbors because evidently somebody must have had some concerns, and he said he was going around to all the neighbors to let them know that his son did have mental issues, but he wasn't harmful.
Police say the suspect already faces charges for the attack on Congressman Connolly's officer, and he faces a hate crime charge and destruction of property charge for an earlier incident. Several migrants arrived at a Denver processing facility today, many from Venezuela. They wanted help buying bus tickets to other U.S. destinations. The city reported 154 migrant arrivals Monday. Denver's Mayor Michael Hancock says he's cautiously optimistic the numbers will continue to remain low, but called for more federal help. Several of the migrants said they were aware of the immigration tensions in the U.S., but had to make the journey for a better life. A year has passed since the first monkeypox case was reported in the U.S. during that global outbreak.
Now the CDC is once again raising the alarm about the virus.
A new warning from the CDC about a potential risk for new cases of mpox to surge this summer.
We're coming up on Pride Week right now when there are a lot of celebrations within our populations that are at highest risk for getting mpox. And we don't want to see a month-long celebration turn into a tragedy.
Mpox is a viral disease that spreads through close contact. It can infect anyone, but in the 2022 outbreak, infections were mostly among men who have sex with men. Right now, a cluster of mpox cases is being investigated in the Chicago area, where the CDC says there have been at least a dozen confirmed cases and one probable case reported between April 17th and May 5th. All the cases were among men between the ages of 24 and 46. All had symptoms, but none of the patients has been hospitalized. 9 of those 13 cases were among men who had received both doses of the 2-dose Jynneos Mpox vaccine. 4 of the men had recently traveled to New York, New Orleans, and Mexico.
We don't know how long the vaccination is going to provide immunity, nor do we know how long necessarily natural disease is going to provide immunity.
Dr. Kristen England with Cleveland Clinic says it's still important for those at highest risk of mpox to be vaccinated.
For folks who have been vaccinated and still get mpox, it is strongly suspected that the mpox that they currently have is much less severe than it would have been if they had not gotten the vaccine.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Freshman Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia introduced a resolution today to expel Republican Representative George Santos. House Republicans have until Thursday to schedule the vote. It's expected to fail, but will put House Republicans on the record over the indicated congressman. Santos has pleaded not guilty to 13 federal charges, including allegations of fraud related to COVID-19 unemployment benefits, misusing campaign funds, and lying about his personal finances on House disclosure reports.
Well, coming up, we're going to be talking about today's afternoon thunder showers, but tomorrow I think you're going to see very few, if any, and all of a sudden we're headed into some drier weather. We'll have all that coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Still have a few little light rain showers. You can see the drops falling through here. This is, of course, a live picture out at Cuero, and, of course, the thunder showers that are still rolling around the area. These were expected, folks. We talked about them yesterday. We said once the sun comes up and it pokes through the cloud deck and then heats up the air, we're going to have another round of showers. Now, we did have some big ones around the area, but boy, I've not had any luck finding rain totals. I mean, I see a tenth. a quarter of an inch. That's about it. But I know that Calhoun County got a big downpour this afternoon. 71 is our current temperature. Very nice. All that courtesy of the thunderstorms. The winds are very light. We had perfect conditions. We had the humidity in the air. We had an unstable atmosphere, and we had a little heating. Clouds started rising, and then they started building, and boom, all of a sudden, thunder and lightning all over the place. Here's the coast. There's sea drift. You see right about there. You can see how everything started right at the coast and then started moving inland. There's Cuero, and you can see how most of the storm activity is just above that. So if you're, headed toward Gonzales, you'll probably be running into that stuff. The other reason for the storms today, you can almost see the circulation right about here, right? You can see how it's going round and round, and that is also an area that's of low pressure that's helping to lift the atmosphere, make it unstable, and give us that thunder shower activity. But right to the north, things are very different. Now here's Victoria. We're getting the light rain right about there. You'll see how it turns just the light green there. That's the light rain. The heavier in the dark green, and of course wherever there's the orange and yellows, then you're going to see the heaviest activity. So most of it now moving onshore. But here's the funny part. We have a little frontal system that is going to push a lot of this away. Now, as we zoom in, you can see we do have a flood watch for this area. This is called an aerial advisory for flooding. Basically, Cuero and Gonzales County, Karnes County as well. That's because of what they had this afternoon, and so it's a touch and go because the rivers are full. All of our rivers are still right at flood stage, so we're going to watch and wait to see how it evolves. But the good news is tomorrow I don't expect a lot of this at all. In fact, it should be gone. Here's what I was trying to get at. We have a little stationary front north of us, about really kind of almost Austin. It's a little drier up here and it's not as humid as what we had or unstable. Well, this thing's going to push through the area overnight. We may have an actual north wind for a little while tomorrow. Now, this is not a huge cold front by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a different air mass, and therefore the shower chance is going to shut down. Now, we're going to have some clouds, but we're going to have drier weather aloft, which is not going to allow those thunderstorms to build. Then high pressure comes in, and by Thursday, Friday, you're going to go, oh, there's the sun. It's so warm. We go from one extreme to the other. So, yes, we're going to say goodbye to most of that shower activity. Here's Tuesday, 5 o'clock, right about now. You can see right here, you can see the little stationary front coming through, and you can see it pass our area, and then by tomorrow morning, most of the wind will help to shut down the shower chance. So we got only at 20% for tomorrow morning, then improving conditions for Thursday and Friday, and getting up to about 90 by the time we get to the weekend. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have this QR code. You want to scan that with your phone and put Crossroads Today right on your smartphone. If you have a smartphone. Some people still have dumb phones, but smartphones are really good. Anyway, we'll toss it back to James and Karina.
I think, correction, I said that a week ago, and somebody said they're all smartphones, even if you're on Android or on, yeah, you get it. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, the debt ceiling negotiations still very far apart, but a deal is possible by the end of the week.
Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow down 337 points, the S&P 500 down 27 points, and the Nasdaq down 23 points. Oil down 25 cents, closing at $70.86 a barrel. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says there is progress in the debt ceiling negotiations. McCarthy met with President Biden and other congressional leaders at the White House. The White House is considering cutting short parts of Biden's overseas trip that is scheduled to begin later this week. Unlike last week's meeting, Vice President Kamala Harris is participating in the next session.
The Biden administration is investing $11 billion to bring more clean energy to rural America. The White House says this would help keep families lights and heat on during extreme weather like heat waves, floods, and winter storms. The administration says this is the single largest investment in electrifying rural areas since the Franklin Delano Roosevelt presidency.
Alrighty, stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, a Netflix show helps find an abducted girl who was missing from her father for 6 years.
Missing girl featured on the Netflix reboot of Unsolved Mysteries is back home with her father after 6 years apart. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says someone spotted Kayla in North Carolina. Her non-custodial mother is charged with abducting her when she was 9 years old. Bond is set at $250,000 and the 40-year-old faces extradition to Illinois. Kayla's father says he's overjoyed and grateful to everyone who helped bring his daughter home.
Wow.
Well, there's another book and movie out of that. It's got to be difficult for her.
Oh, can you imagine how difficult? But one of the good reasons that those cable shows can actually help.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, just the internet in general is helping solve so many unsolved cases over the years.
As opposed to other reasons why it doesn't help.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we were having some rainy weather, and then now it's sunny. So, Mac, what's up with that?
Well, that's because this stuff was triggered by the sunshine this afternoon, and that's why we got the big thunderstorms. We have convective heating. Now, we do have light rain in the Victoria area. The heavier stuff right now is up north of Gonzales, up toward maybe Luling, Lockhart, those areas. But this will all collapse once the sun goes down, and so give it another hour or two and it should be gone. Tomorrow we'll have much less potential for any kind of this activity, as overnight we're going to pick up a dry wind, and then all of a sudden we are into the sunshine as we get to the latter half of this week. So 20% for tomorrow, then Thursday sunny, 88, then up to almost 90 by the time we get to the weekend. And I don't want to hear, oh, where are the clouds and where's the rain? No, that'll be gone, and we'll be into sunshine and rather humid weather as we get to the weekend.
All right, so no alert days.
No alert days through the weekend.
In the clear,
sure.
all right. And summer's upon us, near.
It is very close.
All right.
It'll be here, and you know, once it's here, it's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, that's what they
All
say.
right,
all the
thank you
time.
so much, Mac. Thank you for being with us. Remember, we're always on at Crossroads Today Plus.
That's right, and we hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.